Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is multi-sampling mode in Sampler. And this is a great way to come up with brand new instruments by layering different samples together. And also is really handy in making real world instruments where you will want different velocity strikes or hits, if you like, per note, like soft, medium and hard on one note on a piano, for example. But first we'll look at layering up some multi-samples. We'll make sure that they're all in tune with one another, and we'll see how we go there. So first and foremost, I've already selected a couple of audio tracks there, and what I'll do is I'll just drag the first one into Sampler, and we'll check out what note he's in. I'll just press C3 on the keyboard. So I've got something that's already saying it's in C, although you'll notice down here in this section the root key isn't set to C. So for example, if I set that to C3, I'm actually getting an A. So what I'll do is I'll tune everything to A in this case. I'll tune the other instruments. We'll just do a bit of slight adjustment to get it right on. Okay. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll open up my zone section by clicking on here, and I'll drop in my next sample, and we'll solo it and have a listen to what note it's playing. Okay, it's playing an A as well. So we've got two notes playing A there, which is good. We'll go down and we'll grab the next sample and drop that in. We'll just solo that and have a listen. Hey, hey, we got A again. So that's handy, and we'll just go and grab the last sample and chuck it in. Now it's a loop, so we'll have to do a bit of mucking around on that. You heard that first note. Basically giving us an E. But what we're going to do is we're going to grab a section of this sample. Firstly, what we'll do is we'll change the sustain mode, so you've got a few different options here. What I like to choose in this instant is a back and forth option, so it's going to basically start the sample, play from left to right and then go back again. But I don't want to use all of the sample, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in these sections here and just choose my sample area that I want to play in, and I'll just give that a bit of a play. It's not bad. Crossfade. So a bit of a droney sound there. On the E, what I'll do is I'll just detune it so we're on the note more. And then what I want to do is change the root key and bring that to A as well. Actually, I might bring it up to A. Okay. So now I've got it on A. Now if I play all of the instruments, alright, we've got something in A. What I might want to do is adjust the volume of some of them. So I'll go in here and just pull the sample volume down. It's pretty intense, that one. And maybe bring that one down a little. Alright, so that's a fun way of making new instruments. Bear in mind that the samples aren't time stretched when you put them into Sampler. So obviously lower pitch notes are going to play slower, and higher pitch notes are going to play, at a faster playback, higher pitch. The only way around this would be to warp all of your samples to the correct tuning really before you brought them into sampler, and that way you could get around that. Next, we're going to have a look at creating like a real-world instrument. So I'm just going to delete those guys out of there. Now, what I've done already is I've got a soft, medium, and hard snare. So that will enable us to just drop them over into sampler. Now, when I open up the zones, I've got them mapped across the entire keyboard again, so you'll hear note, value affected hits. Don't have to worry so much about tuning for this because they all come from the same pack, same tuning, if you like. But what I do want to do is I just want to restrict all of those just to play on the C3 key. So only when I hit C3 will I get that drum hit. That's handy if you're mapping other hits, obviously, across the keyboard. So in this case, the snare's C3. At the moment when I strike it, obviously you're only getting all three of them playing at once, but just so you can hear them, soft, medium, loud, but they're all just playing back over the top of one another. So what we want to do is introduce a soft, medium, hard velocity. So what we want to do is go up to the velocity section, click on that, and we'll see values here of 1 to 127, obviously 1 being soft, 127 being the hardest. And at the moment, the velocities are all set the same. So what we could do is we could grab on the edges and drag, just one down, for example, and say I only want soft notes there. Medium comes in when I strike a bit harder, and so forth. Or what I can do, I'll just bring them all back out first, is I can just hold down Shift and select all of the samples, and then right click and choose Distribute Ranges Evenly. And so now when I play back C3, softly, for example, medium, and hard, you can see how that key now has mapped the velocity depending on how hard or soft I strike the key. So that's a great way of producing real-world tonality.